This meeting is being recorded.
All right. We welcome you in, I think, to an interesting podcasting experience here. Something that I've never done before, but something that I've always wanted to do before. My name is Ryan Hall from Loyal Hearts Media. Thank you so much for joining us here today. And yes, this is a bit of a detour from what my usual content is, but this is something that I've always wanted to do. We're going to talk a little wrestling here on the Wrasslin Wroundtable. And I wanted to bring in my good friend Dominique and talk a little wrestling here. Introduce yourself. Tell everybody who you're about and why you're here.
My name is Dominique Larue, and I'm a casual wrestling fan like everybody else in the great world of wrestling. And I am just here to share my thoughts and gripes about what's going on in the world of wrestling. So,
yeah, I mean, we figured everybody else was putting a podcast together. Why not us, right?
Why not? Why not?
Yeah. Well, and this honestly, this is something we've been wanting to do for months. We've had this great group chat going on Instagram for a couple of years now, and honestly, this is just an experience of what our group chat is like.
Yeah, we've had a group chat for almost about a decade now.
Yeah, really have, yeah. So,
and we were just like
moved to Instagram a few years ago, but be that as it may.
We just not thinking about doing a podcast.
But hey, now we're here, and yeah, we're going to talk wrestling. We're going to be focused, I think, mostly on WWE, because that's what Dom and I primarily watch.
Yeah.
But I think just to kind of let our new viewers and listeners know, just got two good questions for you, and I'm going to share my answers here when you're done. But what got you into wrestling? And let's just say, who's your Mount Rushmore of favorite wrestlers?
Well, first, my late uncle got me into wrestling. He was watching wrestling one day, and I had just so happened to walk in. I was like, what are you watching? He was like, oh, I'm watching wrestling. And it was Ric Flair and Sting that was actually wrestling at the time. And I sat and I was watching it, and it caught my eye because it was just like, two guys wrestling. And I just was like fascinated because, it was a guy with paint. And at the time, Sting was with bright colors. So that caught my eye. And then also, as anybody else has watched wrestling, Hulk Hogan back when he was in his glory days of,
before we found out the truth about him.
Yeah. So, but just overall, just watching that and growing up and seeing the just the colors and the production on everything and just the storylines. And then I got into WWF, and I was fascinated with the Undertaker because that was the big hit over there, and just watching him and seeing his development over the years, and just really when I really got into like a die-hard wrestling fan is when Stone Cold dropped that infamous, Austin 316 just said, "I just whooped your ass."
Yep.
And
one of the most famous wrestling promos of all time.
Yeah. So that just took off me, and man, you put me on the spot with that Mount Rushmore. So this might be debated, might be agreed on, but
your opinion. So
right. It's just my sole opinion, but my Rushmore of wrestling has to be Undertaker, Stone Cold, The Rock, and I mean, it got to be Ric Flair. I'm just saying, like, I get Hulk Hogan, he did this and that, and most of our favorite wrestlers gonna say, Hulk Hogan should be in it, but Ric Flair, for the guy to not only go from multiple, like, just companies and just like everybody white, black, whoever, knows this man, knows his saying, and just followed his story throughout his years, know who Ric Flair is. He's pretty much the Michael Jackson of wrestling. I'm just saying. So
That's a good call. Yeah, the
yeah,
Michael Jackson, the James Brown of wrestling.
James
Yeah,
Brown, whoever your goat is, he's right there with them. So yeah, that's my Rushmore. So
absolutely, absolutely. Well, thank you so much for sharing. I think there you'll definitely find one common one, well, two common ones actually on my Rushmore as well, and you
yeah,
probably know the two that I'm talking about. Um, but for me, what got me into wrestling, and you know, and for somebody like myself who I've always been into books, I've always been into writing, I've always been into like kind of some nerdy stuff. Getting into wrestling, I took some heat for this growing up. I had people making fun of me, like it's fake, right? Well, Star Wars is fake too, but you still watch it, right?
exactly.
Um, but but I also don't use the F word. I prefer to call it scripted. But be that as it may, there's two things that really kind of got me into it. I remember when I was probably 7 or 8 years old, like super young, and I was, it was like late at night. Mom and dad had gone to bed. I was just like flipping channels on TV. Like I think dad was at work and mom had gone to bed early. Um, Dad was in the bar business in those days, so worked a lot of late nights. But I remember flipping channels and I landed on the USA Network, and they were playing a highlight of Rowdy Roddy Piper and Mr. T in a quote boxing match. Now, first of all, I was confused because I thought first of all, this is the guy from the A team and he's fighting some, he's fighting some
So
Canadian, it's like some Canadian guy who professes to be Scottish. And I was so confused. And then I realized, well, then I realized now that they real life hated each other. Um, but I also remember that. But what really got me into it was, I like to call it the Saturday doubleheader when I was growing up, because I'm a big baseball fan. The Atlanta Braves have always been my team, and growing up watching them on the Superstation, and I grew up in Central Time Zone, so my our Eastern time zone people just do the math, but um, it was always WCW or Georgia Championship Wrestling Saturday night at 5:05. And then it was the Atlanta Braves probably losing to somebody in the 80s at 6:05, like clockwork, every Saturday afternoon. And like I grew up watching guys like Dusty Rhodes and Nikita Koloff and the Road Warriors before they pulled out that ridiculous puppet when they went to the WWF. Um, Ric Flair, all those guys. And that was really how I kind of fell for wrestling, watching, watching WCW. I got to hear one of their main announcers with a thick Southern accent, and that turned out to be a young Jim Ross. So, and as somebody who was looking to get into sportscasting with a Southern accent, you didn't hear many of those guys like that.
the goat.
So, it was just like little things like that, just like we were talking before we recorded, just like the nostalgia piece of it.
Hmm.
But yeah, my Mount Rushmore of pro wrestling, Ric Flair definitely number one. Just to, and even now as a middle-aged adult, really knowing his personal story, despite all of his, you know, incredibly flawed human being. Let's not get it twisted. But knowing like how he grew up with, not knowing who his biological parents were for so long, and all that stuff, and just really becoming the superstar that he was, I got to go with Flair. Um, got to go with the Undertaker. did he scare the hell out of me as a young kid?
Facts.
Yeah. Gotta go with The Undertaker. Always had a soft spot for Bret Hart. Just, not the biggest guy in the world. Um, as he's gotten older, he's become more and more bitter as the year goes on. But I got to go with Bret Hart. And I always had a soft spot for Dusty Rhodes. Just the fact that he was not like built out of granite like so many of those guys were. The fact that like you could sit down and have a beer with him, smoke a cigar with him. I don't smoke cigars, but metaphorically, of course. Like you can sit down and chop it up with him, and it's like you said, people like that, Flair, Dusty, they have appeal across all kind of demographics, all kind of, educational backgrounds, races. I mean, I'm a white guy, you're a black guy. We both love them. So yeah, it's that kind of like cross emotional.
Relatable. They could be, they make us feel like we could actually live that life they do. So
yeah.
Because what was it? Cody Rhodes always referred to as the son of a plumber.
Yep.
Yeah. So
yeah. I mean, well, Cody's, that's a different story, but
yeah, that's a story saved for another episode.
Exactly. It's definitely a story saved for another episode. But as we're recording this, and we're going to be releasing this here in the middle of February. But as we're recording this, we're about 6 weeks out from WrestleMania 41. And there's been a little controversy brewing about what WWE is going to do with WrestleMania 41. And I'd love to get into that a little bit.
Yeah. I got some mixed feelings about that.
Yeah. I mean, the mere fact that, and we both love him, but Jey Uso, who, if you're not familiar, for so long has been a tag team specialist, is going to main event night one of that show as the Royal Rumble winner, has been lighting the internet up, and not necessarily in a good way either.
I just don't understand why not in a good way. Like what?
I know.
Like what is so like mind blowing for him to main event night one of WrestleMania? Like night two is always reserved for the big ticket, like the big stars. Right. Granted, Jey Uso is slowly becoming like the superstar, but like we followed this man's story ever since ever since he was in the tag team, really. But like to see his growth as a singles competitor in COVID, of all places, like the COVID era, and to see like the growth in his the promos and just him being like, talking to Roman. I still remember this to this day, like him like really bleeding out to Roman, like, I hate you, like, you're this big time star, and I'm here like, the other Uso. Like when they look at us, they try to figure out which one of us is who, and I'm always referred to as the other Uso.
Uso number one, Uso number two.
Yeah, Uso number one, Uso number two.
Yeah. Like from what was it? Dr. Seuss, thing one and thing two.
Yes, and just like his overall growth into what he is now, and like I get it. Yeet has been used in like 20 years or whatever, but the fact of the matter is like it's entertaining. It's something that everybody can grasp onto, adults and kids, and most importantly kids. I mean, like we're in the era now with wrestling where like you want to push the envelope just a little bit, but not enough. Like we in that PG-13 era. So you want your kids to be able to watch something and also relate to something and follow it and be cool about it. And why not Jay?
Why not?
Why not? This
Yeah.
man is showing you each and every week, each and every night he's on TV. Like he's putting his all into it. And yet nobody's satisfied with it.
Yeah. And I think a lot of times wrestling fans were just a fickle bunch. We're just a fickle kind of grumpy bunch of people sitting in our living rooms watching grown men in spandex fake beat up each other.
Beat up each other, yeah. And it's like they missed the whole point of like storytelling. Like this is the perfect story being told right now.
Yeah, I mean, but if you think about this, we both really kind of cut our teeth on WCW.
Yeah.
Who was one of the biggest stars in the Monday Night War era? Diamond Dallas Page.
Yes.
DDP didn't get started wrestling until he was in his mid-30s. He was never the greatest technical wrestler in the world.
By no means.
That bodybuilder physique. But the fans, myself included, absolutely loved the guy. Yes. And you can't like the kind of energy that I get from Jey Uso, I kind of get a similar energy from Diamond Dallas Page because neither one of them are that great technically. They both cut a great promo. And DDP is a former world champion.
Yeah.
Did they finally pull the trigger and take that title off of Gunther or Walter or whatever the hell you want to call him nowadays? Did they finally do that at WrestleMania? I say they should.
They should. He will have the title well enough to WrestleMania where it is time to pull it, because his reign as world champion is nowhere close to what it was as IC champion.
Not at all. Yeah, not at all.
Like it's just here's a good explanation. His world title reign feels like a mid-card reign to me. Just getting him prepared for the undisputed title, basically.
Yeah.
That's why I feel like he would blossom more and probably bring more. Not saying he's not bringing any prestige to the world title. It's just the fact that the way they've been using him, and that whole thing with him kind of like losing his edge a little bit against Priest, and then Priest getting screwed. I know I didn't like it because like Gunther don't need it. Gunther never needed like anybody to like help him win a match, let alone like screw the other person out so he can win the title.
Let's face it, Gunther's a badass.
He's a badass.
He's one of my favorites in the whole game right
now. And I can't even like front. Like, certain heels you just like, he cheats to win. I can't stand it. That was with Roman at one point. And then some of the matches he did win, he won on his own. So, but with Gunther, you built him up to be like this robotic, just like unstoppable force.
Kind of like Ivan Drago from the Rocky movies.
From the Rocky movies, yes, exactly. And then like, when he lost to Sammy, that was a good pull, because at that time, we was like, okay, he's really outgrown the IC title. Like it looked like he's ready for like a world title now. And it was good that Sammy won it off of him, because he was riding off the bloodline aura, and Sammy Uso and all that. So that was good. But then like when he lost that title, it's like they just kind of like got kind of wrapped up in the bloodline storyline. So it's just like, we'll get to that in a minute. We still got to focus on this. And then, with the Rock fiasco and all this other stuff, it was just like, so.
we still have about 50 Samoans to.
Yeah, we still got to get through them before we can like really just focus on everybody else. And it's just like ever since then, it kind of like threw Gunther off. But now he got the world title, and now I don't get the gripe that people feel as though, because first of all right, everybody loves John Cena. I love John Cena.
Yeah.
We know this is his last run. So at the end of the day, he don't need this Royal Rumble win because he has 2 already.
Yeah.
But the Royal Rumble is supposed to be a platform to either propel a superstar or, like, if the timing was right, if somebody else needed that win, cool. But Jay needed that win because you and I have discussed this multiple times. We was like, how are you going to give someone the mantle of main event and he don't win the big one?
Yeah, that has never really registered with me. That has never really registered with me because, like, you can't give somebody that kind of nickname and just keep it right out of his grasp.
Right.
I mean, and we've had many conversations about this, about certain guys are better chasing the title.
Mm-hmm.
Give them that big, give them that big moment. Like you're wearing a Daniel Bryan t-shirt, right?
Yep.
I feel like Daniel Bryan is a great example of that because like WrestleMania 30. Yeah, it was WrestleMania 30.
New Orleans.
In New Orleans. One of the best endings of any WrestleMania of all time because it was so cathartic. I mean, even though that was the show where they took the streak off of the Undertaker, which
see, we needed that ending though. We definitely needed
that feel good ending. We needed him with his hands in the air, tears in his eyes, hugging his wife.
2 titles.
And 70,000 fans or whatever just losing their minds.
And can we just give a salute to like whoever wrote that storyline, like Triple H, whoever, like to them, to like with the authority and just like Daniel getting kicked around and like being called a B+ player and you'll never amount to the big one, and then just like the trial and tribulations he had to go through just to get to that moment was just like satisfying.
No, absolutely. And he's like a prime example of some people are better chasers because when he actually got the title, his reign was kind of mediocre.
Yeah, I mean, we do. I can't even, to be honest, I can't even like remember what happened after that. Like, right. I mean, I know either had to be like Randy cashing in maybe on him or something like that. No. It was something. I think it was John or somebody got him after his reign with the title, but it was just like, it was more exciting when he was chasing it than it was
right
when he was checking.
Right. And I think Jey Uso could really kind of, if they're not careful, could really fall into that same category.
Oh yeah, without a shadow of a doubt.
Yeah.
But I think the way they've been doing it and the way they've been, kind of like critiquing stuff and doing things, I hope like when he get that title, he can at least, first of all, get some worthy opponents to like really up his resume as champion, but just don't fall in that like you were saying, like, that aspect of, he was better as a chaser. Like, I want you to be good at chasing and keeping. Like, I just cannot stand that, like, where, because hell, with The Rock and Stone Cold, you know what I mean? Like, I want you to be in that position where, like, with or without the title, you're good. But either way, you make that title better. Because you could fall in the aspect of when Logan Paul won the title. It was just a prop at that point. Like, when it was the title, he would just come out, I'm the best United States champion, but you barely defend the title. You just showing the title off, taking your pictures on Instagram or whatever, having it on your podcast or whatever. At that point, it's just a prop. Or, I've said it numerous times. No disrespect to Liv, but when she won the SmackDown title, I was like, it's cool she got the title, but like she's barely defending it.
Barely showing up.
Barely showing up. You know what I mean? Like just I'm the SmackDown Women's Champion, and then like who like I wish somebody hurry up and take it.
When wrestling is at its best, it's yes, we all know that it's predetermined. We all know that it's scripted.
Oh, yeah.
But make those titles worth something. Make those titles important. Make it feel special when you're going after it. Make it feel special. That's what they did so good with Gunther's Intercontinental reign.
Oh man, when he got that title, it made it like a workhorse title again.
He was a workhorse, and he was presented as a killer.
I'm talking about the matches he put on with like absolute 5 stars. Every match was a 5-star match.
Yeah.
And what's the segment we was making fun of, like the Chad, like that elevated Chad Gable.
Yes.
Him chasing that title. It was like F them kids.
pretty much, yeah. But you could run into a problem like that with this WrestleMania.
Yeah.
Because Jay is hot as hell right now. I mean, he's radioactive hot right now.
Like he's out of the stratosphere of hotness, like over.
But if you actually put the title on him, which I hope they do, if you actually put the title on him, what does he do with it? Does he keep it for a couple of months and get cashed in on at Money in the Bank or something? Or
that's always been my thought. Like I've said it, I've shared that with you numerous times. I feel like that would be the best route to go because of the fact. I say because, like, all right, if John Cena beats Cody, right, then obviously John is not going to carry that title that long. I mean, it's his retirement year, so it's like, and I hear him say he gonna do all the shows, he gonna be at the house shows, this, that, and third, and that's cool. But we know how old you are. We know you've been doing this for 20 years, so you're at this point now where you're gonna need a little break because you got other projects and stuff to do.
Right.
So I'd rather you win it than get. I mean, and plus me personally, I don't know if anybody shared this or not, but like John Cena is the perfect guy to get cashed in on. I mean, because he's really the first guy ever to get cashed on. So, like, why not finish your career getting cashed in on? So
that's right. Yeah, that's right. Edge cashed in on him when he won it way back 20 years ago, whatever it was.
Exactly. Yeah. So full circle moment. You started to cash in on. Why not finish it off? Finish your career off getting cashed in on one last time.
Boy, that could make one hell of a heel moment.
And then I feel like with Jay, I want him to hold it as long as possible. I mean, I don't want him to run into like, oh, he was better off chasing after it. I want him to run into like, oh, that was a great match, and I can see why he lost. Like maybe to a Sammy keeps popping in my head for some odd reason. Like if Sammy will ever win the title, I can see him winning it off of Jay. I can't really see him winning it off of Drew. I can't really see him winning
history.
Yeah. Like, they got history, and then like it's kind of like a you owe me one. I've always had your back, even when you was going with Roman, and like you was back and forth for, do I go stay with Roman or do I branch off and be my own man? I was there. That could be one thing. Or I mean, I still think Cody and Jay should get that match together because he did say until we yeet again, and he gave that look like when we yeet again, it's not gonna be tag team, it's gonna be 1-on-1, that type of ish. So
yeah,
and I want I want Cody Rhodes to be Homelander Rhodes. I need Homelander. I need that sadistic, evil, just Cody's better as a heel.
Oh, absolutely, he is.
I mean, I mess with Cody regardless, but like heel Cody is just,
Yeah, and that I think that really kind of sets up a next discussion here. Just really, we talked about John Cena, who I think we're here. What is it? About 2 weeks before the Elimination Chamber show.
Yep.
I think it's obvious John Cena is going to win that.
Oh yeah, I mean it makes no sense now. The promo he cut after Royal Rumble that nobody else wins other than him. Yeah. And then look at the people that's in it, like Priest. No disrespect to him, but undisputed title at WrestleMania. You got a world title last year. Let's move on. Let's get you acclimated in the SmackDown and whatever. Logan Paul. I ain't even got to get too far into Logan Paul. He got a fight with his brother later on in the year or whatever, so we'll move on with him. Seth Rollins.
The quicker the better, by the way.
Yeah, the quicker the better. Seth Rollins, you double stomped Roman Reigns outside of Royal Rumble. So you finna get your get back.
Yeah, no.
Drew McIntyre.
Got to get his lick back, yeah.
He got to get his lick back. Drew McIntyre has literally been getting on everybody else's nerve. So he could be eliminated, maybe third man in or whatever. So I can see him getting eliminated by Damian Priest. Or he eliminated Damian Priest and they can set them up for WrestleMania.
Yeah.
Possibly. And then CM Punk. I ain't even got to get into that. CM Punk. You got beef with Rollins. You got beef with Drew McIntyre. You got beef with Roman because you just eliminated him and messed up his plans. So at the end of the day, I feel like Roman is going to get his get back at Rollins and Punk at the same time and set them up for a triple threat. So,
by the way, totally with you. I feel like Cody Rhodes needs to be, I mean, if you think about this, right? Cody Rhodes dresses like a heel, like he's always wearing these just crazy expensive boots.
Yeah.
His hair is always perfect.
Perfect. Homelander.
Ridiculous tattoo on his neck. But he's, he needs to be just an evil, crazy, just like
sadistic
heel.
Yeah.
The heel that his dad could have never been. Because, as I said earlier, Dusty was the ultimate everyman. He was the guy who you could have, who you could have have a beer with.
He was the ultimate babyface.
Totally. Cody, handsome, perfectly dressed, perfectly coiffed. I don't exactly get that same energy from him.
He can be John Cena's Lex Luthor. Because what we always hear about John, Super John, never give up. Just stand the third. What did Cody do? Cody gave up. Cody left WWE. Mm-hmm. Cody went on to, start his own stuff in the indies. Start his own business. Start his own promotion. Gave up at that promotion. Came back to WWE.
Yep.
What's his number one thing? I wanted John Cena's schedule. I want to be the quarterback of this team. Yet, you're finna fight the GOAT. You're finna fight the basically the GM. While you was gone, I ruled WWE while you was gone. And I want my farewell tour to end with me breaking that record. So
yeah, and I think that's and I have said it in our group chat, and I'll say it here on this podcast. I feel like the main event of WrestleMania is a perfect opportunity for Cody to snap and turn heel.
Oh yeah, yeah. And
Because
the road leading up to it, I can see why you say that. Like we still get the somewhat babyface Cody, but you can start seeing like the cracks in the armor. You know, the way he shakes John Cena's hand after they do their promo and he gives him that death stare. The way maybe, you know, John Cena walking out the ring and you can just look at him like he wants to attack him, but he kind of holds back, you know. The way he comes out all like, you know, with his suit and, you know, he doing it with the crowd and stuff and just, you know, something's ticking in his head. We just don't know what, but it seems like he got like a ticking time bomb.
Yeah, and the mere fact that if you lose to a 48-year-old man, an almost 48-year-old man at WrestleMania, somebody who hasn't been wrestling full time in years, a guy who calls spots so loud that 90,000 people can hear him. But if you're losing to somebody like that, that could be the catalyst, because I see like an ultimate heel move. John Cena just won his 17th championship, just broke the record. Confetti, just his old rivals coming down, Punk, Randy Orton, HBK, just like his old rivals coming down, hugging him, shaking his hand, whatever. And then Cody just has this psychotic look in his face. Just has this absolute psychotic look in his face. And while everybody's celebrating, he's sneaking around. He grabs a chair and absolutely just lays down.
Yeah.
And he's standing over him with this psychotic look on his face. The announcers are losing their minds. The crowd is booing. And you fade to black.
Yeah.
And then he has to come out the next Friday and cut a just nasty promo. That's your heel of the year right there.
And I feel like they do this like where he just snaps. It could go so like, because we got Roman, Roman was a heel a year ago, but now he's becoming that like anti-heel baby face. And then like you go from beating Roman, right, the year before, you turn around and lose to a 48-year-old man on his retirement tour. You know, that could do, and it took all these people to help you beat Roman, let alone, but you couldn't even beat John Cena by yourself. So that could be something like Roman like throws a little salt in the wound with that, and they could kick off something with them two again. So it's so many like different branches of stories that could come from this.
It took all those people to have Cody beat Roman, including John Cena.
Yes. Yep. Yeah.
Yeah. No, that's like, I feel like that could be so juicy.
Yeah.
That could be so juicy because we've been talking about it for months. Cody Rhodes's title reign has just been so bland.
It's been so like, hey man, it was nice watching you chase it. Like you was great chasing it, but like ever since you won it, it's been like it's been down. Like it ain't nowhere near where it was with Roman. Like you come out and it's like that war ain't war no more. It's like this ain't there no more.
Yeah. I mean, I'm sure you'd still be invited to the barbecue, but
for sure. Bro. Then you get ragged on like, hey man, you sure you good with that title, man? And looking like a couple people didn't turn their backs on you now. Like Kevin Owens snapped. Who else gonna snap on you?
Yep. I feel like if they play this right, it could be an all-time classic show.
Yeah.
They got to play it right.
This, and you know what? I was sitting here thinking, like, we were talking about Elimination Chamber, and the really dark horse of it all is like, when do Randy Orton comes back, and who do he comes back for? Like, the writings on the wall, obviously, he's gonna come back for Kevin Owens because he's the one to put him on the shelf. But what if Randy just, like, because we know Randy, we've watched Randy so many years. Kevin Owens in the back burner. He's gonna get to Kevin Owens, but like with Randy, he got voices in his head, and it's like, I wouldn't have been put in this situation if it wasn't for you, Cody. Like, you basically caused all of this, so now I got to get my get back.
Yep.
So why not only help my best friend John win, break that record, but then turn around and take care of you in the process. And then I'm gonna get to John later because I am a Viper, and he knows me better than anybody. I'm gonna come for that title because I got a record of my own I would like to break. So
I hadn't thought of that, but it makes perfect sense because Orton and Cody have a history, a long history.
A long history, yes.
They're both second generation guys. They're both, they came up together.
I brought you under my wing.
Training school together. I mean,
yeah. Like, I brought you under my wing, Cody. I basically made you what you are, and I had your back, but I got power drive for it. So I just worked better on my own. So.
Yep.
And what if we get the sadistic, like 2009 Randy, where he used to come out and just punt whoever he felt like punting?
But like working babyface.
And working that whole new day ish, where like we're not in the wrong here, And speaking of New Day, why are we not talking about the ending to Raw when they jumped Rey Mysterio?
I don't get it.
I get why, because they was like, y'all kicked us out the locker room. We wasn't in the wrong. We told y'all like Big E could have came back and been with us, but he had his own little life he had going on, and now y'all talk about New Day suck. And we don't suck with you. Just basically, I'm telling y'all what it was. We were being for real about it. But I mean, it's just shocking because it's like New Day was in that kind of spectrum where John Cena was like, well, I mean, I know y'all started off as heels, and then y'all got to this power of positivity, and y'all stayed in the power of positivity for so long that it made us forget that y'all started off as heels. So it's like y'all in that John Cena phase where like y'all are baby faces till y'all are done, but then y'all switch up on us.
Yeah, and I think the worst part of it is that I don't think Big E, with his neck injury, I don't think he's going to be able to get his lick back, which is a shame.
It's a shame
because that is what makes a great baby face, is that if your heels are just blasting you for forever, and he can and if he can come back, if he's able to come back, or if he
got to be at WrestleMania,
if he can get a surrogate even to get his lick back, he needs to get his lick back,
and it got to be at WrestleMania. It got to.
Yeah, no, it's got to be in front of 70,000 people at that stadium in Las Vegas.
The pop that damn building would get if we hear Big E's music, like just like, okay, leading up to WrestleMania, right? Rey Mysterio is like, I want to have a tag team match between the New Day and me, whoever, and then New Day takes out everybody that he picks. Like, okay, it's gonna be Dragon Lee. They take him out. It's gonna be such and such. They take him out. Like, so it's leading up to WrestleMania all the way to the point where, like, I mean, Rey Mysterio look like he might take on New Day by himself, and then Rey makes a surprise call, and then we like, who could it be? And then Big E's music hit. It'd be like an Edge moment all over again.
Absolutely. Absolutely it would. I just had an idea, actually. I just had an idea. If Big E can never get cleared again, which, good Lord willing, he can.
Yeah.
Because, by all accounts, he's just a beautiful guy.
Yeah.
But if he can't get cleared again, do the mystery angle, right?
Mm-hmm.
Mystery tag team angle. Big E's music comes out. Big E cuts a promo. I said, I can't, doctors still haven't cleared me. Don't think they're ever going to clear me, whatever. But I got somebody that's going to fight in my place. And then Obafemi from NXT comes down and just absolutely lays them out.
Man, that'd be wild.
That'd be a hell of an introduction to the main roster, huh?
That would be too. Or what if it's Trick? Because there isn't Trick supposed to be.
Yeah.
Yeah. Ah, man, could you just imagine like whoop that Trick?
70,000 people.
Man, that'd be wild. But that's a good. I like that. I like that.
Yeah, I think you got to do something to have him get his leg back. If he can't do it himself, he's got to get somebody.
He got to get somebody. It got to be somebody. I mean, I heard rumors that Wade Barrett is in PC working.
Yeah, I've heard that too.
So I don't know.
Oh, at this point, I've heard Corey Graves has been,
working. Yes.
I think they cleared him with his next situation. So
yeah, I think they cleared him like way back last year's Raw.
A year ago, maybe. Yeah.
Yeah. So, but I know we can't get off this pod without addressing the Jacob and Solo.
Jacob Fatu is one of my favorites going right now.
I love Jacob. I love Jacob.
He's been in WWE less than a year.
Yeah. This man ain't been in WWE for like what 6 months, and he's already like one of the biggest stars.
First of all, the guy is just a freak athlete.
Yes.
300 some odd pounds, can do just gorgeous moonsaults. Cuts a great promo. Just has this psychotic kind of
look,
like presence about him.
Yeah.
Can you imagine? Because he's done like this whole like I love you Solo thing for for so long.
And it's hit. It hits. It's like it stuff organically that hits like that, it just makes it even better. Like it's not forced. It's not something like it's just spoon fed to this. It's just like, that's how you make a dominant force where he rarely speaks, but when he does speak, we listen. And it's like, he was doing the whole I love you Solo bit, but they gradually moved up to like, all right, we're gonna let you cut a promo, defending Solo. Like, hey, Roman, you think you finna get the Solo? No, sucker. You gotta go through me. And this and that. And it's like, I want this to be a thing. I don't know if somebody mentioned it. I know we talked about it a couple times in the group, but like the whole, okay, I remember this match. It was LA Knight and Jacob. And you remember when LA Knight had kind of like, I guess, slammed him on the table or whatever. He was laid out on the table or whatever, right? but then he like instantly popped up. And when he popped up, the camera angle was like LA Knight was sitting and he was looking, but we could see Jacob like standing on the table doing that little head thing he do. It
Yeah,
was
that
like,
was badass. That was
yeah,
badass.
he was like, oh shit, he finna, you know, like he was like, oh, he finna whoop his tail. Like if they could make that a thing, that would be dope. Cause it kind of gave me like that Undertaker feel where like whenever Undertaker down on the ground, he just pops back up like that. It gave me that. So if they could just like
Jacob Fatu is the closest thing to a MAGA that we've had since
without a doubt, without a shadow of a doubt. Yeah. Yes.
And it is a crying shame that Umaga can't walk that man down to the ring at WrestleMania.
Oh man. Or just like have his own Ulafala and just put it on his neck. Oh man, that'd be crazy.
Yeah, that yeah. Oh man, I think that I feel like Jacob Fatu is gonna. I feel like he's gonna main event WrestleMania in the next 2 years.
Oh yeah. I'm ready. To be honest, I'm ready for
maybe even next year.
I really want him to Wrasslin Reed to tangle up one good time. Whenever Wrasslin Reed's come back from his injury, and them two just, that's gonna be a slobber knocker in the great words of JR.
Yeah, big meaty men slapping meat, huh? I would that match is money. I'm sorry, that match is absolutely
yes, for sure. I'll tell you what, I mean, at first I thought it was gonna be money, but looking back at it now, the Charlotte and Tiffany match, I don't think it's gonna hit the same as a Charlotte versus Rhea, because I think Charlotte versus Rhea would have been better.
Yeah, I agree. I feel like well, first of all, I feel like Charlotte's presentation is just not hitting for me right now.
She didn't need it. She's the queen. Like what? The whole vignette,
she's already a first ballot Hall of Famer.
Yeah, the whole like you had pointed out in the group, the whole vignette that he was doing leading up to Royal Rumble, and like we knew for a fact that she was gonna win it all. When you doing a vignette like that, it's like, and then the lineup that we had in the Royal Rumble was just like, who else was gonna win it other than either you or Bianca Belair?
Yeah, no, that I feel like the internet backlash towards Charlotte has been justified.
Yeah, for a fact, yeah.
Because it was obvious I think it could be obvious to Ray Charles that she was going to win that thing.
Yeah. Like, I mean, if anybody thought it was gonna be anybody other than her, then obviously you've never watched wrestling in your life.
Right. And she is the last person who needed that push.
Yeah. Like she didn't need it. She could have she could have went in the elimination chamber and got the #1 contender spot. Right. And nobody would have batted an eye about that. Nobody would have been mad about that.
And still take on Tiffany Stratton.
Yes. Yeah. But like just to do a whole vignette for 4 weeks, maybe 5. And like, don't get me wrong, I'm one of those that was like, I was happy she's back. I wanted her to be back. I was looking forward to her coming back. Right. It's just the storytelling wise, it was like, we can do better than this.
Yes, we can. And that's the problem. Is that she didn't need it. She didn't need that, everybody knew who she was. Everybody knew that she's a first ballot Hall of Fame. Everybody knew this. Everybody knows that John Cena's a first ballot Hall of Famer. And she, John Cena, and people are kind of complaining about John Cena not winning the Royal Rumble. That makes sense.
Yeah.
That makes sense. But Charlotte Flair, and let's not even get started on just like how badly her facelift, like her plastic surgery has gotten. But that's I don't want to get petty and start talking about women's looks here, but it it's just unsettling.
Right.
Yeah. Well, I think this has been a great episode. This has been a great first episode,
Oh
and
yeah.
I'd love to do it with you again.
I can't wait. I can't wait for the next.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well,
Ready to see what tomorrow night finna uphold.
Yeah. Yeah. And I don't know about you, but I'd love to hit it back next week.
Oh yeah. I'm my schedule is clear for next week. Yes.
All right. All right, my brother Dominique, thank you so much for doing this with me. This has been a real blast.
Thank you.
All right, my guy. And thank you so much for listening and watching to the Wrasslin Roundtable. And until we eat again.